growing up in North Texas meant we got more ice than snowflakes, which meant building snowmen was really just a thing they did in the movies. So yes, Anna, I wanted to build a snowman. This memory inspired my project for this year's 2023 Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge. I decided that it was time for me to build a snowman. Even if there was no snow, I could make wood chips, right? It's close enough. Armed with my imagination, some Baltic birch plywood, my CNC, and some paint, I figured I would not need to rely on my ability to find a magic hat to bring this snowman to life. No, we just add an LED light for that. So grab your hot cocoa, settle in, and let's see how I brought this not-so-frosty Texan snowman to life. To start, I used Illustrator to draw the snowman and all the parts to make this project. I saved the creation as 3 separate parts: snowman, outlines, and well, parts. Those would then be imported into Pixel CNC, where I began adding depth to the design with the shapes from paths feature, which I really like how easy it is to get the rounded shapes with this tool, and it's easy, once you get the hang of it, to create these 2.5D carves. Before diving into the crafting adventure, a bit of preparation work was in order. A friendly sanding to both sides, and a coat of shellac on the back side. Now this helps the wood from splintering when you take off the painter's tape when you're done carving. So let's get this secured to our spoil board with the painter's tape and super glue, and then I add a quartet of screws on the corners to prevent them from lifting up. Our first cut is the roughing pass. We are using the 1/4" downtown Jenny for this, with a 35% step over. It took 2 passes to leave a 0.5mm stock at 3mm a pass, and this took about an hour and a half to carve out. I do like to do a roughing pass on these 2.5D projects, so we don't put too much strain or wear and tear on our ball nose or V-bits. Plus, we can increase the speed on our cleanup cuts if we do this first. The next bit up is the Little B Jenny, gracefully wielding an 1/8" diameter tapered ball nose to do the fine pass cut. Clocking in just under 6 hours with a 12% step over. It's a long dance of precision carving, but the results are great. I really do appreciate how well the scarf and text detail came out with this bit. There were some furries afterwards, but those came right off with little effort from the wire brush during the sanding stage. One of my favorite things about these 2.5D carves is the cleanup cut. It is so cool to watch them transform from a blocky step hill into a clean and smooth finish. To finish up the cutting, we switch over to the Mini Jenny, an 1/8" compression bit, which I have recently been using more and more. It breezes through the material in a cool 25 minutes for this part. The sawdust in the cut path, along with using the painter's tape, means there's no need or worry about the pieces shifting or having to use tabs. Just make sure your depth of cut is engaging both the up and down cut parts of the bit. Now that it's all cut out, it's another sanding session, then shellac, and then sand again. I did use the orbital sander, but just for the bottom part where I messed up on my tool pathing for the framing of the text and the base. For the rest of the piece, I used sandpaper and the bristle brushes to sand it down. Man, I really love those bristle brushes to get rid of any fuzzies. Now it's time to prime. Nothing special here, just a few light coats of white primer. We let it rest for 24 hours before we paint. Now, this part was a bit more time consuming than anticipated, but hey, good things take time. The majority of this was painted using acrylic hobby paints, and then some of the bigger spots I did use some spray paint. Painting these raised surfaces was a challenge, but in the end, it was worth it. Some touch up around the edges was inevitable, but that's just part of the creative journey. At first I said I would never do this scale or paint this type of project again. However, after looking back, for the right person or family member, I think I would. While it did take a while to do this, it was also quite calming. It was pointed out to me I could have laser cut the text, but then I would not be able to say this was all cut out using Ginny Bits from Cadence Manufacturing, who, by the way, is one of the sponsors for this challenge. Thanks, Cody. Finally, the finishing touches. We need to wire up the switch to the light bulb socket and assemble the base. Need to put the light socket in the base before soldering the plug to it. There's no need for super glue here on the base. I oversized the holes just a little bit, so with that and paint, there is a nice friction fit, and it can be stored once Christmas is over. And there you have it, folks, from a childhood desire of wanting to build a snowman to the hum of a CNC machine, we've turned some Baltic birch plywood into our very own Texas Snowman. And it won't melt in the sun. As we wrap up this journey, I want to thank you for joining me on this festive adventure, and remind you to go check out all the Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge videos. There's a link for the playlist of all the entries down below. So whether you're covered in snow or surrounded by Texas ice, remember, the magic of Christmas is all about the joy we create and share. So until next time, keep spreading that holiday cheer, and as always, keep making stuff.